Hey everyone, today we'll be making a color changing Nichirin and the Demon Slayer core uniform. So this is episode 5 in my revised Demon Slayer game tutorial series. The only tutorial you'll need for this to actually work is part 4 about final section, and also part 2 about the player. They're not required, but it definitely helps a lot. So I'll start by showing you how it works, and then I'll start by showing you like gameplay, and then after that I'll go through the scripts. So I've just got two NPCs. I've got here Hotaru Haganezuka. He's the guy in the anime who welds the swords, and then as you saw up there, I've got a Slayer who will give you the uniform. I'm not sure how accurate that is to the anime, but yep, that's what I have for now. So if I press play here, then I'll spawn in next to Hotaru, and I can claim my Nichirin from him. So right now, I just have my basic katana. I'll click on him, and it'll say receive Nichirin. I'll say yes, and you'll see I've got my Nichirin, and it's purple colored. So the way I've made it work is you can only claim your Nichirin and your Demon Slayer core uniform if you've completed final selection. So I've already completed final selection, and that's why I could claim the Nichirin. If the player in your game hasn't completed final selection, then they won't be able to claim their Nichirin, just like the anime, and also just like lots of other Demon Slayer games on Roblox. So I'll make my way up over to the Slayer NPC, which is over here, and I can get my Demon Slayer core uniform. So I'll click him, I'll say yes, and there I've got my uniform. So yeah, that's how it works. If I reset, just reset quickly, then when I respawn, I should still have my Nichirin and my uniform, and my Nichirin should be the same color. So there's my uniform, there's my Nichirin, my purple Nichirin. This also works with data stores, so if I press play again, then it'll have my my same color Nichirin. So I'll just show you how the code works now. So this is the main script. I start by getting the data store service, and then I get these 3 data stores. You could technically just have one data store and store it in tables, but when I was testing, for some reason it wouldn't let me store tables in a data store, so I just went with 3 different data stores. Then I get 2 remotes from replicated storage. You can see over here, receive Nichirin and receive uniform. So I'll go down to where I've received those events. So uniform.onServer event connect function player. We check if the player has completed final selection, and if the player has completed final selection, then we'll set a value called has uniform to true, and we'll change their shirt and their pants template. And then we'll get their ID and save to the data store that they have got their uniform, so that next time they join the game, they don't have to go back to the NPC. And then over here, Nichirin.onServer event connect player function player. We once again check if the player has completed final selection, and then we check if the player already has Nichirin, because if they do already have a Nichirin, then we don't want to let them just talk to the NPC again to re-roll their color. We could probably use a game pass to let them re-roll their color, but I haven't done that. But you'll probably be able to figure out how to do that yourself. So if the player already has a Nichirin, then we'll return. We won't go to the next lines of code. But if they don't have a Nichirin, then we'll go to this next line. We've got local r equals math.random 1 to 255, local g equals math.random 1 and same for b. So what this does is it generates a random number between 1 and 100 and 255. R stands for red, G stands for green, and blue, B stands for blue. And when we mix these values together, it'll give us a random color. If you know about just basic color theory, then you'll know how that works. And then we set the player's sword color to that random color that we just generated, and then over here we re-weld the player's we destroy the player's katana model and we weld a katana to them. I mean a Nichirin. We weld a Nichirin to the player, and then we use data stores to save it. So I'll go back up to this function here. When there's a character added to the game, then we create these bool values and this color value, which is just equal to the sword color, has Nichirin and has uniform, and then this is just a bunch of data store loading, and yeah, that's basically it. So that's the main script. Then down here, I've made changes to the weld sword script that I made in part 2. I've made weld sword a function, and here we've got this event, which when it's fired, it'll weld the sword to the player. So inside this function, by default, the model will be the katana model. So I'll show you server storage. I have my katana model. By default, model will be the katana model, and color will be this gray color. But if the character has Nichirin, then we'll set the model to Nichirin model, and we'll set the color to the character's sword color value, and then we'll weld that model to the player. And yeah, so that's basically how we handle welding a katana or welding a Nichirin if they've finished final selection and claimed their Nichirin. So that's the changes to the weld sword script. I'll go back to this Nichirin uniform script actually, and I'll just zoom out so you can see that. I'll just scroll through slowly. So I probably won't have these scripts in the description, so you'll need to pause the video here just to copy down the scripts. Alright, so for the NPCs, in the workspace I've got Hotaru over here. He's got a humanoid root part and a click detector inside it. And then in this script over here, we've got this, we detect when the click detector is clicked, and then we fire a remote inside of player GUI. I'll show you where we pick that up. I'll show you where that is later on. And we, so that's the remote. We check if the player has completed final, and we check if they have not already got the Nichirin, and if those conditions are met, then we'll fire the remote and make the GUI pop up. And then similarly for the Slayer over here, we have a click detector and a script which basically does the same thing, but it fires a different remote. So I'll show you now where these remotes are being picked up from. Over in Starter GUI, I've got two new screen GUIs called Nichirin Prompt and Uniform Prompt. I'll go through Nichirin Prompt first. We've got a frame and a cancel button and a yes button. And we've got 3 local scripts. So first of all, we've got this remote event, which is what's being fired. Then in this local script, when the remote is fired, then we set this screen GUI.enabled to true. So we just make this pop up. And then in these other local scripts, we've got the cancel button, which just disables the GUI. And we also have yes, which fires a remote, which is then picked up by our Nichirin uniform script. So the way this works is we click the NPC, it fires a remote to make a GUI pop up, and then that fires a remote to actually weld the katana to the player. So yeah, and then for our other GUI, the uniform prompt, it's basically the same thing. Receive Demon Slayer uniform core, receive Demon Slayer core uniform, and inside here we've got the same 3 local scripts. This one, and this one, and then yeah. So that's just an overview of how this system works. I'll have the game link in the description if you want to try it out yourself. I might have a free model just for the GUIs, because that can get a bit confusing. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate a sub and a like. It helps keep me motivated. to make more videos like these. And until next time, see ya!